Unexpected redemption. Emma stood on the porch, the cold night air biting through her thin sweater. She hugged herself, shivering more from the shock than the temperature. The door to the house she had called home for the past 5 years was firmly shut, the new lock gleaming mockingly under the porch light. The suitcase at her feet held the bare essentials: hastily packed clothes, a few toiletries, and her laptop. Everything else, every piece of her life, was locked inside. It had all happened so quickly. 1 minute she and Mark were arguing about something trivial, the misplaced keys, the forgotten grocery list. And the next, he was yelling, his face contorted with an anger she had never seen before. He had shouted, "Get out!" And before she could even process his words, she was on the porch, the door slamming behind her. The sound of the lock turning echoed in her ears. As she stood there, processing the reality of what had just happened, she fumbled with her phone, her hands trembling. She needed to call someone, anyone. But who? Her parents lived states away, and her closest friend Sarah had just moved across the country for a new job. As she scrolled through her contacts, the reality of her situation began to sink in. She had nowhere to go. Suddenly the door flew open. Mark stood there, his face pale and eyes wide with panic. "Emma," he said, his voice shaking, "where's the cat?" Emma blinked, momentarily stunned. "What?" "Whiskers," he repeated, his voice rising. "I can't find Whiskers." In the chaos of their argument, neither of them had noticed the open window in the living room. Their mischievous tabby, Whiskers, had apparently taken the opportunity to explore the night. Emma's heart sank. She loved that cat, and the thought of him lost in the dark, dangerous streets was unbearable. Without a word, Emma grabbed her phone and turned on the flashlight. Mark followed her into the yard, calling Whiskers' name. They searched the bushes, the neighbor's yard, and the nearby park, but there was no sign of the cat. Emma felt tears prick at her eyes. What if they never found him? Just as despair was about to overwhelm her, Emma heard a faint meowing. She turned towards the sound and saw 2 glowing eyes peering out from under a parked car. "Whiskers!" she cried, dropping to her knees and reaching out. The cat darted out and into her arms, purring loudly. Mark let out a shaky breath. "Thank God," he muttered, sinking to the curb. He looked up at Emma, his eyes filled with remorse. "I'm so sorry, Emma. I was so angry and I didn't think. I didn't mean to. I never wanted to hurt you." Emma held Whiskers close, feeling the cat's warmth seep into her. She looked at Mark, seeing the regret in his eyes. "Why did you do it?" she asked softly. Mark ran a hand through his hair, his shoulders slumping. "I don't know. Stress, work, everything just got to me. But that's no excuse. I was wrong, and I'm so sorry." Emma took a deep breath. The hurt and betrayal still stung, but she could see that Mark was genuinely remorseful. "We need to talk," she said finally. "But not tonight. I need time to think." Mark nodded, standing up. "Of course, take all the time you need. I'll stay with a friend tonight, give you some space." Emma watched as he walked away, feeling a mix of emotions: relief that Whiskers was safe, anger at Mark for what he had done, and a small spark of hope that maybe, just maybe, they could find a way to move past this. She didn't know what the future held, but for now she had her cat, and she had a moment to breathe. Hash days turn into weeks. The days that followed were a blur of confusion and introspection for Emma. She stayed with Sarah, who had returned for a brief visit to help her settle into a temporary routine. It was during those quiet nights, as Emma lay in the unfamiliar guest room, that she replayed the events leading to that fateful night over and over in her mind. Mark called every day, leaving voicemails filled with apologies and pleas for forgiveness. Each message was more desperate than the last, but Emma needed time to sort through her emotions. She didn't reply, not yet ready to confront the pain and disappointment. A surprising discovery. One afternoon, as Emma sorted through her emails, she stumbled upon a folder she hadn't opened in years. It contained old love letters and photos from the early days of her relationship with Mark. Each letter was a reminder of the love and connection they once shared. She found herself laughing at their inside jokes and smiling at the memories of their adventures. Emma decided it was time to meet Mark and talk. She needed to understand where they had gone wrong and if there was any chance of fixing it. She called him and they arranged to meet at a quiet cafe where they had shared many happy moments. The heart-to-heart Mark arrived early, looking visibly anxious. When Emma walked in, he stood up, his eyes searching hers for any sign of hope. They sat down, the awkward silence between them heavy with unspoken words. "I'm glad you came," Mark began, his voice trembling. "I've missed you so much, Emma. I can't forgive myself for what I did. I was an idiot." Emma looked at him, seeing the sincerity in his eyes. "Why, Mark? What happened to us? We used to be so good together." Mark sighed deeply. "I don't know. Work's been stressful and I've been feeling like a failure. I took it out on you, and that's not fair. I should have talked to you instead of pushing you away." Emma nodded, feeling a tear slip down her cheek. "I felt so alone, Mark. I needed you, but you weren't there." He reached out, taking her hand in his. "I know, and I'm so sorry. I want to make it right if you'll let me. I've started seeing a therapist to deal with my anger and stress. I want to be better for you, for us." Emma squeezed his hand, feeling the warmth and familiarity. "I need time, Mark. I need to see that you're committed to changing. We can't just go back to how things were." "I understand," he said, his voice filled with determination. "I'll do whatever it takes. I love you, Emma." Rebuilding trust. Over the next few months, Mark and Emma took things slowly. Mark continued with therapy and made a conscious effort to communicate better. They started dating again, rediscovering each other, and the reasons they fell in love in the first place. They spent weekends hiking, cooking together, and talking late into the night. Each small step helped rebuild the trust that had been shattered. Whiskers, their constant companion, seemed to sense the changing dynamics and often curled up between them, purring contentedly. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Mark turned to Emma, a hopeful smile on his face. "Do you think we can make it, Emma? Do you think we can be happy again?" Emma looked at him, feeling a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. "Yes, Mark, I think we can. It's not going to be easy, but I believe in us." A new beginning months turned into a year, and their relationship grew stronger. They learned to navigate their differences and support each other through challenges. The anger and hurt were replaced with understanding and compassion. One evening, as they sat by the fireplace, Mark pulled out a small box from his pocket. "Emma, I know we've been through a lot, but I've never stopped loving you. Will you marry me again?" Tears filled Emma's eyes as she nodded, feeling the warmth of his love surround her. "Yes, Mark, I'll marry you again." Their second wedding was a small, intimate ceremony with close friends and family. It was a celebration of their love and resilience, a testament to their journey together. As they danced under the twinkling lights, Emma whispered in Mark's ear, "Thank you for not giving up on us." Mark smiled, holding her close. "Thank you for giving me a second chance. I promise to cherish you every day." In that moment, surrounded by love and hope, Emma knew they had found their way back to each other. It wasn't a fairy tale ending, but it was their story, a story of forgiveness, growth, and unwavering love. And as they held each other, with Whiskers watching from a cozy spot by the fireplace, they knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, stronger and more united than ever. A second chance, rebuilding love amidst the chaos. When Emma's husband, Mark, throws her out in a fit of rage and changes the locks, her world is shattered. In the midst of their turmoil, their beloved cat, Whiskers, goes missing, forcing them to come together in an unexpected search. As they navigate the pain and regret of their broken relationship, they begin to rediscover the love and connection that once bound them. Through heartfelt conversations, personal growth, and a renewed commitment to each other, Emma and Mark embark on a journey of healing and forgiveness. This touching story explores the complexities of love, the challenges of rebuilding trust, and the power of a second chance.